What's going on, everybody? Today is Monday, August 14th, 2023, and you are listening to the Daily AI Show Live. You're here, you made it. Let's do this. It's a new week, and we've got an amazing topic for you today. Talking all about not just deepfakes, although that is what we put in the title, but just talking about, I think, Aaron, which you've been dealing with, voice cloning, people cloning. How are you using that in marketing? I think there's just so many different ways we can take this topic. But what I thought might be helpful, I'm going to throw this up on the screen. This is the definition off of Wikipedia. And I thought it'd be a great place to start and then kick off into the conversation. So, deepfake definition is digitally manipulated to replace one person's likeness convincingly with that of another. And so, yes, we want to talk about deepfakes. Yes, we want to talk about how that has some serious privacy concerns for businesses. If my bank can send me something that's a very convincing deepfake and get me to share my information through phishing, that's a whole other level of privacy issues. Putting out damaging reports from CEOs that make it sound like they have a political agenda one way or the other, super damaging for businesses. We can all see how those, obviously there's the whole political side of things, which we don't necessarily have to get into. But as the 2024 election is coming up, there's a lot of concern about, how easy is it going to be to show one side or the other, pushing agendas, propaganda, and that kind of thing. So that's all the deepfake side. But then there's also some benefits that come out of the business. So with that, would love to kick it off to you guys and kind of see where your brains are on this right now.
Sounds good. I'm happy to open up here. I've actually been following the generative AI voice cloning situation since that big AI release with Drake in the Weeknd going on, and so I was really intrigued with that. I think, like you said, we have to identify what we're talking about here, and the main thing that I'm talking about, or I want to go into, is the whole voice cloning situation, and how music labels are reacting, how artists are reacting, and what's going to come out of it, especially with some recent news about Universal and Google making a deal or working on a deal so that their artists or their recordings can be used on Google's latest music AI offering that they want to do. And so I think that kind of breaks down to, or the biggest issue is who gets what, right? So from the business sense, who's getting compensated, who owns what, and what is it, in the end, when you make an AI voice clone, or you make an AI song with Drake or Weeknd or Grimes or whoever, who gets what out of that? And so I think that goes down to understanding how currently music rights are handled. And that's pretty much boiled it down. It comes down to master rights and performance rights. And I think this is where the artists are the most concerned, because traditionally artists get their main revenue through performance rights and not the master's rights. So the labels, the master recordings that the labels do with their artists is how they make their money, selling digital copies, plays, all those kinds of things. And so one of the things that really jumps out is this deal between Universal and Google going to be based off of AI trained off of the master recordings, or is it AI that's trained off of the performance rights, whether that's composition or, or is it just like the timbre of voice, pitch alteration, all those kinds of things? So, I mean, I don't want to go too deep into the the technical side of thing, but I think that's kind of where we're at, is who gets what, and I think that's how it's relevant to our audience at this point. And I'd love to get your thoughts.
It's funny you bring that up, Jimmy. I think this is, let's go back to Napster days, where it was like when digital came out. It's a similar argument where it's my music, it's my rights, my copyright, and then you can't digitize it and share it, and then the industry found a way around it, right? They find a way to monetize that. So honestly, I think this is going to be something that the industry is going to figure out for itself. You're also going to have people that like you said, this is trained upon existing works of art, and you don't know it's a Drake song unless it's trained on Drake. But the future is there isn't going to be a Drake. There's going to be some other AI created song that everybody loves that there is no artist, and so, so it won't be a problem at that point. But it is displacing those creators, those musicians, and that's a whole nother issue. But I think the deepfake argument is, or the deepfake conversation is so vast, as Brian kind of got to. It starts with I just want to create one of myself to replicate myself, and I don't want to have to I don't want to do my hair and my beard and dress up. I want to do something, right? And just do a bunch of podcasts or a bunch of videos and content. Like that's how I'm seeing it, is to duplicate myself. Right, like Multiplicity, that movie from the 80s or 90s,
where it caused more problems than good.
where the fifth version of myself was wearing my hat sideways and can't put my shirt on right, because it's like clone. Anyway, I digress. So we have this deep fake that can be used by you to do great things to help you be more efficient, and there's the nefarious things like you're talking about. Then there's ones like that lady that decided to clone herself, and then she sells versions of that, to her fans. I think it's an OnlyFans kind of thing. I don't exactly know, but I heard about that. So I love the idea of deepfakes, but then I guess I do hate the fact that there's ways like voice cloning and having my grandmother get called by somebody from a nefarious country saying, Granny, can you send me $100? I'm locked in jail or something. And she'll do it in a heartbeat because it sounds just like me. That's scary, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, thoughts from everybody
I'd
else?
like to talk about the business application of an avatar of you, Robert. So you're the chief AI officer at your company, and so you may be hiring lots of people who are going to be new to your company, and it would be wonderful if a representation of you could convincingly be interactive with new people being onboarded to your company. So I'm really intrigued by the opportunity to do that. But I think it's true that while voice cloning is really quite effective at this point, at least to the level of sensitivity that we have about identifying someone by their voice, the actual mannerisms, gait, and facial expressions of a live human, it's not quite there. And, we have a huge amount of our brain that's made up of, facial recognition circuitry. I think we're much more attuned to identifying, possible quirks and differences in the way a representation that's generated by AI might look and what they're. But for the purposes of onboarding, it might be a new employee. They haven't had a lot of time to learn your face. So a really good one, let's say the really, really good one would be somebody else doing live motion capture, but having your digital avatar, overlaid on top of that with real human mannerisms. But we don't have time for that, and that's not very efficient. So we're a ways off from it, but eventually you'll be able to train an avatar, that's the visual representation of you, just like you train voice cloning with a sample of your voice. You'll be able to, take a video like this one of my mannerisms, and the AI will faithfully reproduce that. That's going to be a really useful tool, I think. It'll save time for people in the context of training and development inside companies.
As a matter of fact, Aaron's not even here. This is
it's my AI clone.
He's like, listen, it's too late in Perth, man. I'm just going to do the AI clone.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump in there. So good points on all behalf. I agree with what you said, Robert, about I see in the future that the talent, as it were, is going to primarily eventually become just AI. We won't need to clone, some famous movie star to make a movie. We will create our own quote unquote movie star, and it'll be all be created in digital. And I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure I saw a TV show or a book or a movie somewhere where that was the concept. Sorry?
It's called Simone. With Al Pacino.
Okay. So, I mean, the whole concept there was that the movie star wasn't a real person. It was an AI from start to finish. So I completely believe that's going to happen. And what that ultimately means for the current, all those guys on strike at the moment is that at some stage, like it or not, they're going to be out of a job unless they can come up with some alternatives. And the movie studios are going to go, great, we don't have to give $1 million or $5 million to the, Tom Cruise or someone big name when we can create our own AI superstar and go from there. So that's first thing first. Secondly, Andy, you were talking about using AI video to do like an onboarding. So that's already available. So I use AI video myself. I have a clone. This is not my AI clone you're looking at, but I'll show you a sample in a minute. But one of the use cases for the product that I use, which is a service called HeyGen, is that you can use it to create like training videos, explainer videos, that kind of stuff. And it would be perfect for doing that whole talking to new staff members, that kind of thing. So that's that factor. The other one you mentioned about the fact that, and I know you've made a comment to me a couple of times in seeing some of my examples, that you don't see a lot of movement and it doesn't look supernatural. And I think that's two elements there. Number one, it's a combination of the training video you first submit to them. So if you don't move your hands around a lot or move your head around a lot, they don't do that. Okay. And when I created my first AI clone, that I kept pretty stable and tried not to move because that's what the instructions said. In hindsight, I'll do something different. But the technology is on its way to be able to deal with that sort of stuff. I've already seen a version 2 of what I've got out there, which looks more lifelike now. And actually, I think Rachel shared some samples of it in the AI Exchange group. So, we are definitely within, 6 or 12 months, I think it's going to be so lifelike you won't be able to tell the difference. As far as voice goes, there's multiple ways to clone your voice. I still haven't found one that works great for me because of my accent. The most popular product out there is 11 Labs, but it turns everything into an American accent. So if you want to hear me sound American, that's the choice. Again, that stuff's coming. So what I might do, if you guys like, is maybe share my screen and show you a video I've got on Facebook. And it's just a video I created to demonstrate the difference between me face to camera versus my AI clone. I'll kind of try and fast forward it through so we don't have to watch too much of it. But if you just want to hang on while I share the screen,
yeah, sure.
you guys can have a look at it.
While he's doing that, I mentioned in the chat internally that there's one that came across last night. It's d-id.com and does very similar to HeyGen. I haven't delved into it, but
I've used it. It's nowhere near as good as HeyGen as far as that stuff goes. So, but it's an alternative. So I'm hoping that we'll. There we go. Once this starts, I'll just screen zoom into it. So click play. And this takes about 30 seconds. I might just jump through a little bit.
So is this you for real? I can't tell. Is this AI or is this you?
So we can't hear you if you are speaking or if there's audio in the video.
Right.
Yeah, it's
don't worry about the audio.
Yeah.
So that's the AI clone, and I deliberately did it without a background, and then I jumped to another scene where the background is there. And if you didn't know me or hadn't seen me before, you might think that looked pretty damn realistic. Okay, I've run ads on YouTube and Facebook and not said it's an AI video, and people react to it as though it's a normal video. So it's definitely got some value there as far as that sort of goes. So I think my main interest in it is I'm a marketer, so I want to produce a lot of video content, and I want to be able to do it any time of the day or night without having to set up a camera and a green screen and a microphone and all the other stuff that goes with it. Let's just stop sharing. And so what this does is allows me to pump out a video anytime I want. And that's how I'm selling it to my clients is, hey, instead of you doing one video a month or a year in most cases, we can be doing one a day for you. So you guys all join the AI Exchange because of Rachel, and Rachel pumps out lots of regular content. It works. We're all proof that it works. So same concept. So yeah, I love it. I think there's the potential to do bad things with it at some stage. I'm sure there will be somebody that does it. The solution, I don't have the answer to solve it, but I still think if you look at the good side of it, I think there's lots of opportunities there for it.
So I want
I
to
think
push,
let's talk about
push back
I-
a little
ahead.
bit on the idea that using it now versus using it when it's much, much better, when it can, like Andy said, shows emotions, shows hands. It's very interesting. That's the version I want to use, because I'm afraid of using the one now for brand harm. Because if your first interaction with a prospect or whatever is your virtual, it isn't exactly compelling. It can be weird, and it can be kind of awkward. And so I'm wondering, I'm just throwing the devil's advocate out there to anybody who wants to answer it.
Yeah,
Is it
answer this
more
one.
harm than good?
So it's a good question, Robert. Is it going to do brand harm because it doesn't look legit? My personal opinion on it is a couple of things. Number one, when this is perfect, everyone will use it, and you lose any market advantage you get. So first mover, think back to when, I think back to when Google first started running ads, and you could buy 5-cent clicks or anything. And if you were smart enough, knowing that it was going to cost $50 or $100 of those clicks 20 years later, you would have probably gone all in and spent a fortune on it and made a lot of money. So that's my first thing. And secondly, this video, I actually show some samples. Move yourself around a bit, change the background, put yourself in a circle versus standing it. So you can do some flexibility there. Again, it's not perfect. I'm a philosopher. My philosophy is 80% done is better than 100% done but not released, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think.
Beth,
go ahead. I don't want to go.
I just have a real quick question. Aaron, would you say that currently it's the technology is good for short form video versus long form video? Do you have any examples of something that runs 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that?
So short form versus long form. I think the longest video I've done is probably about 6 or 7 minutes. And depending on what kind of plan you have, so HeyGen has like 2 or 3 different plans, and the length of video you can make is based on the plan. So you have to be on the top level plan to make up to a 20-minute, but it's easy to make 2 videos and just thread them together with a video editor. I don't think I've run across anyone myself that's done a long video from it, but I know there will be people out there that have done it. My personal interest at the moment is more the short form 1 to 5 minute type of content. But I can definitely see a case where as it gets better, I'll start to go longer form as well.
Right. So what Aaron's talking about is HeyGen. And that's the video that came out over the weekend, I think, or maybe at the end of last week, with the founder who has a very intense accent and a way of speaking, showing him speaking, and then 2 versions of maybe him speaking and then a version of his avatar. Or 2 versions of the avatar where he's speaking naturally. It's his pacing, it's his body movements. So this is not coming. This is like here next week kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like your point, Robert, and I think the industry is moving to solve that. The other thing is for small and medium-sized bands, to go back to like how people are monetizing that. Really, the way small and medium-sized bands make money isn't even with the performance rights of their songs. It's with the merch, it's with the experience, it's with the human thing. And I think the more that we are moving into a digital connection thing, people will seek out more and more personal things. Personally, as a live theater and improvisation person, I think the future's really great for that kind of stuff. We're making it up on the spot. We're actually humans, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I have a good pivot to that really quick, Beth, because I think you have a good point here when it comes to like the experience side of things. And I will put this towards your biggest artists that we all know and are more pop culture. But also I would take this to any CEO, because I think this exact same idea relates back to what Andy was saying when Robert, you were talking about like onboarding, which I think is that's a disruptor right there in terms of personalized onboarding experiences for any company. this is going to be a huge disruptor. But here, I want to share this really quick because I want to make, I think this will be a nice way to make this point. So what this is share tab audio. I want to make sure the audio comes across. So what's interesting about this, first of all, is the date, May 28th, 2019. And this is actually pretty much in my hometown. This is down in St. Pete, so just south of where I am. And in the Salvador Dali Museum, which is a very cool museum, they have here.
Even though Dali's been gone for 30 years, we're using artificial intelligence to bring him back today. In order to actually train this AI to reproduce Dali's likeness, we've started with finding the right footage of Dali, and then we split that up into frames where he's looking the right way, and we pick the best frames to use for training from that. Our system learns exactly what he looks like.
Jump forward to him talking real quick.
A moment in every person's life when they realize they adore Dali.
And then at the very end,
Then
here,
they can
show you
relate
how
of him.
Dali will take a selfie with you at the end of
Follow the
video,
instructions.
Right? Really cool use case for how people are using name, image, and likeness, in this case, Salvador Dali, to increase the experience for the guests. But let's take this one step further. Like right now in current culture, the biggest ticket going is for Taylor Swift, right? To get a ticket to the Eras tour, my daughter, everybody wanted tickets to the Eras tour. My daughter wasn't even a huge Taylor Swift fan, but it just sort of swept the nation, right? And it's now the top grossing over $1 billion tour ever, right? Passing Elton John, I think. Let's break this out. Taylor Swift can only be in one city at a time. And so she owns her name, image, and likeness. What's to stop Taylor Swift for having something that was built in 2019? And let's be honest, there's some 15-year-old at some classroom who would watch that Dali clip from 2019, create it on his or her phone, and be talking like Dali by the end of the video. And they'd be like, yeah, I just did this. What's the big deal? It moved that quickly in 4 years, right? We know this. So what's to say that at the local mall, there's not a pop-up where there's an experience with Taylor Swift, but it's a virtual cloned experience with Taylor Swift, but it's at a pace, because we, like you said, Beth, this is coming or is here, where she's able to interact with the people there by using a camera and saying stuff like where Taylor Swift says, oh, I really like your shoes, or I really like your outfit, which is something that she's really good with, is that human interaction.
Yeah, that's Santa Claus stuff.
What's that?
That's Santa Claus stuff, because only those who don't know it's real. Like if you're a little kid, you think Santa Claus is real, and you go to the mall, you think that's actually Santa Claus that you're sitting on his lap.
I disagree.
I don't see the value of, like, I wouldn't go talk to even like the person I like, Steve Jobs. I wouldn't care to talk to him. Why would I want to care to talk to somebody that I know is fake? My brain knows it's not real, so I wouldn't care. So like, I'm wondering if people know that's not the real Taylor Swift. They don't start screaming and say, I want to selfie with you, Taylor. No, that's not the real one.
I don't think so either, but I think my daughter would 100% want to pay $20 for that experience at the local mall all day long, in and out. I mean, 1,000%.
Just a curiosity factor. People would, I believe they would in a lot of cases. Maybe they might do it once or twice.
7 years ago,
I said Santa Claus, Brian, the same thing for your daughter. The novelty is be cool, but only for those that believe in Santa Claus, kind of that are willing to what is it called when you dismiss reality? If you're willing to dismiss reality for that experience, sure. But I think it would be a passing. My bigger thing is when they're
what
dead.
If it's a but hold on a second. What if it's a store selling her merch? That was my whole point. If it's a store that's a pop-up store to help her sell merch, which we know is something that she can make money on as an artist, and that's part of the experience, a la Salvador Dali.
So it's interesting that you're talking about Taylor Swift, because Taylor Swift lost rights for, or did not own rights for one of her releases for an entire album.
All of them.
And made her new version, right, and released that. So Taylor Swift's community is actually set up for Taylor Swift authorized, like, this is me, and I'm sharing this with you in this digital form of music, a video, of whatever that is. It has a possibility, but also Taylor Swift's community, the community that's built around Taylor, my understanding, is rivals like people who used to travel with the Grateful Dead, right? Like, you're super excited to be in this community of people.
But how is that any different than Apple or any different? I mean, to take it back to business, because I know Taylor Swift is an easy one. She's like she is the biggest music star in the world, I would say, right now at her level. And she has a massive fan base and everything else that spans generations at this point. I mean, like my sister-in-law is just as much of a fan as her daughter is, and there's a 30-year gap between them, right? That's impressive. But just to take it back to the local, what's to say, like, I don't know, Robert, you're the CEO and you're able to customize, and I know it's not you, but you're able to customize my onboarding experience, like Andy is saying, and it's you doing it in a way that's highly personalized to me and my learning methods, and you're leading the training as the CEO of the company.
Yeah,
that's
really
fun.
Cool that I see as an actual use case that's got value, but recreating celebrities is like the wax museum of the future. I don't think it's not gonna be as beneficial, right?
I get your point, Robert, and I like your suggestion about the dear departed, because we actually had this conversation before. But if I can get my writings, my videos, all that into an AI that understands what I thought, understands how I moved, and ultimately, after I'm passed on, my children can interact with a visual representation of me that will faithfully reproduce what my advice or counsel or just empathy might have been, that they'll know it's not real. They'll know it's not me, but it would be a powerful emotional experience.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely agree. That's different. That's people that love you and know you that miss you. Like, you know, I've had people pass away that I wish I could just ask a question. I wish I had videos of, let alone, ask questions of. That would be absolutely brilliant. I totally agree with that one.
Well,
I think the bottom line with all of this is that we're all, this is new still for most of us. Okay. So at the end of the day, in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, I think this stuff is going to be so accepted that even though we know it's not real, we're still going to be relaxed and chilled and be able to have a conversation with an AI video avatar. Right at the moment, it's brand new. And at the moment, there's lots of concerns about it, and there's lots of discomfort and lots of unknowns, but I think it's going to become the norm eventually, in which case it's no big deal.
Yeah. So go like our show, the Daily AI Show on LinkedIn, because this is where I really want to be able to show the results of deep fake of your dead one. Creepy or no?
Exactly. Yeah, I think look, we're up on time here, and as always, I mean, it's kind of the point of this show, right? We sort of set this show up to almost always not have enough time to talk about anything, right? Because we wanted to begin and bring up some cool ideas, bring up where all of our brains are on it, which obviously aren't all. We all have our different approaches to this, which I always think is super cool. And then it is, to carry on those conversations into the other places like LinkedIn and stuff.
It's the psychology of parenting, Brian. It's you never. When is the time you stop playing with your child? You stop when they're having the most fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, always leave them wanting more, right?
You don't stop when they're done with the activity. You stop when they're having the most fun so that you can come back to that. That's the psychology of. So we're having the most fun of this conversation. It's, we got to go. Bye.
It's been our most animated conversation so far.
Well, all I wanted to wrap up with was just simply to say that, look, there's some deep, not playing words, there's some concerns here about deep fakes and the cybersecurity side of that. I mean, I saw an article that said, banks basically consider deep fakes to be the most serious AI threat of our time, like bar none, right? And I think that's really, that's a strong statement from your Goldman Sachs and your Bank of Americas and stuff like that, that they are this concerned about it. And what we see as two-factor auth today might change tomorrow. It might have to, because we have to protect ourselves even further against these types of phishing attacks and stuff.
Which is why
there's so much good. Go ahead, Andy.
Recent history would say that it doesn't really take much sophistication to deceive. So just even conversational assertions about, I read an article that said so-and-so did that is enough to start a chain. So it's going to get worse, obviously, when there's convincing evidence, videos of the person saying it, but it's already a problem.
But also, it doesn't take much information to not deceive, right? So Robert talking to his granny can say, you know, oh, what was the name of the hotel when we spent Christmas in the Caribbean? Granny knows we never spent Christmas in the Caribbean. Are you kidding me? Right?
Right.
Yep.
And then
Hopefully-
AI
hopefully it would
picks
be
the
that
name of a
smart,
hotel.
Right. But I guess, oh shoot, I was going to say something. I forgot what it was. What did you just say, Andy?
It's already
Repeat it all.
happening. It's easy to deceive. It doesn't take a very sophisticated AI video to do it.
Shoot, I forgot what it was.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay though, because we'll come back to that. We're out of time today. Look, this is a good discussion. I think there's so many different, as always, there's so many different areas and niche and corners and stuff that we can dig into this.
I got it. I guess
Go.
So the most important thing that is going to be happening in the near future is to protect what makes you human, so that you. So I will preface this by saying, or finalize or encapsulate this with, don't go out there giving the internet stuff that makes you specific, meaning your retina scan. Something that is eventually going to be used to make sure that you're proving that you're human. So don't go and do OpenAI's WorldCoin thing where they scan your eyeball and put it on some server somewhere, because then you'll never be able to differentiate yourself from the cloned version of your iris. So be cognizant, be wary of sharing things that you're going to eventually have to use to protect yourself.
Biometrics versus AI metrics.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole topic for another day.
Oh,
Yeah.
biometrics.
Oh yeah.
We're diving in. We're doing it. All right, guys, listen. I actually made a banner for it, but I don't know if I can get to it. Tomorrow, here we go. Tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking about Beyond Email Blast. AI brings back the personal touch. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We'll be here all week. We got topics galore. We can't wait. With that, we will see you guys tomorrow. This has been the Daily AI Show live, and you can catch us on the replays on Spotify. You can also catch us on YouTube and through all of our different accounts on LinkedIn. So come say hi to us. And with that, we're out. Let's go.